Thank you, Chair. When was the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet first informed about the return of ISIS brides to Australia?
Senator, I don't have information on when Prime Minister and Cabinet was informed. I can answer questions about the Department of Home Affairs knowledge.
Well, that's funny because I asked this question to the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet yesterday, and Senator Wong said I had to ask the Department of Home Affairs, that you were the holders of this information.
Well, you can ask questions about the activities of the Department of Home Affairs here, so feel free to do so.
Well, I made that point to Senator Wong, but she said that these matters had to be dealt with here, so I'll try another one. To your knowledge, did the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet inform any state governments of the return of ISIS brides?
So, Senator, the normal process would be for the Department of Home Affairs to coordinate any activity with return of persons of interest from overseas. And so again, we can speak to the role of Home Affairs rather than the role of Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Right. Well, how about when did the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet first brief the Prime Minister about this matter?
Again, Senator, my knowledge is of the actions of the Department of Home Affairs, not of the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Well, you might have to take that up with Senator Wong, because when we asked her these questions and the department yesterday, they said they couldn't answer them and only you could answer them. How about...
Can you direct me to the part of the transcript where she said that?
As you know, Minister, we don't have the Hansard transcripts yet, but I can send you a video link if you'd like to watch it in the lunch break.
Because I had my office transcribe this yesterday, and I'm not aware of where...
They're very diligent.
She made the... well, I had an expectation that this issue would come up today. I'm not aware of the Senator Wong saying the things that you are claiming she said. She certainly directed a number of questions to this department appropriately, because this is the department who would have much of the information that you were seeking yesterday, but I'm not sure that she said some of those things that you've just claimed.
Okay, let's try a different tact then. How many ISIS brides are currently in Australia?
So, Senator, the first references I could find to return of foreign fighters and people supporting that effort dated to 2016 to 2019, when the then Director General ASIO put some things on record in estimates and answered in questions on notice. But the numbers weren't specific, and it was not clear how many or whether they included women. In 2019, as you know, the coalition government repatriated 8 unaccompanied minors. In 2022, the current government repatriated 4 women and 13 children. And in September this year, a group of 6 individuals returned to Australia without repatriation assistance. That comprised 2 women and 4 children.
Thank you. When did they return to Australia?
It was on the 26th of September.
26th of September. So the story published in the Herald Sun by Carly Douglas on Friday afternoon, reporting that they had returned to Australia, that was accurate?
Senator, I can confirm that 6 Australians returned to Australia in September.
What about the story on the 3rd of September by Leah Mendes in The Australian that said these people would be returning to Australia? Was that accurate?
So, Senator, we were aware that this group had an intention to return to Australia. When and how exactly, we did not know.
Right. When did you first become aware of their intention to return to Australia?
It was in June this year, Senator.
June. Okay. When did you first brief the Minister about their intention to return to Australia?
At the time that I had that information, Senator.
Do you have any visibility of when the Prime Minister was briefed, either by your department or agencies within your portfolio?
I don't, Senator.
So you weren't present when, for example, this would have been discussed at the National Security Committee of Cabinet?
Senator, I'm obviously not in a position to discuss the content of the National Security Committee of Cabinet.
Right. Where are the most recent cohort of 2 women and 4 children, where are they located now?
So, Senator, I'm going to need to take that on notice and refer to our security agencies to see if there is any sensitivity or risk with that information being disclosed.
I'm not asking for street addresses, obviously. I understand why you couldn't disclose that, but can you tell me the state or territory they're located in?
So, Senator, I'm not in a position to know what could be sensitive in that operational sense, and so I will need to take that on notice and ask security and law enforcement agencies.
The department have previously disclosed the location of the NZYQ cohort by state and territory. Why would this cohort be any different?
So, Senator, the NZYQ cohort was under active management by the Department of Home Affairs, and so I was in a position to assess those risks. In this case, any management would be done in a collaboration between the relevant jurisdictions, law enforcement agency and the AFP, and they're the only ones who could make that assessment.
So you don't have visibility of the location of these people, or?
I do, Senator,
Right.
but I'm saying that the judgment about whether or not that detail can be provided is one for the law enforcement and security agencies.
Okay. Which state governments has Home Affairs engaged with in relation to this cohort?
Senator, I think that would potentially reveal the answer to the question I just indicated to you that I could not answer.
So has Home Affairs engaged with state governments about the return of this cohort?
So typically, Senator, that engagement takes place between law enforcement agencies.
Yes, I didn't ask what typically has happened. I asked in this instance what has happened. Did you engage with state governments? Did anyone in Home Affairs engage with any state governments? Mr Hampson's nodding. Yes, we did.
Yes, Senator.
Great. Who led the engagement with the state governments?
Senator Gemma Smythe, First Assistant Secretary of the Counter-Terrorism and Violent Extremism Division. I had a conversation.
A conversation with a state government counterpart?
A state government counterpart, correct.
Right. And Ms Smythe, are you in a better position than the Secretary to tell us which state it was?
No, Senator. I refer back to the Secretary's
Can you tell
advice.
us whether it was engagement with a department or a state police force, or which counterpart were you dealing with?
A law enforcement counterpart, Senator.
Okay. The New South Wales Police have testified in their equivalent of this Senate estimates that they were told of a returning cohort. If they've been able to disclose that, why can't you?
So, Senator, I think that's consistent with my evidence earlier that law enforcement agencies who have responsibility for managing cohorts when they return to Australia are in a position to assess the risks or sensitivities with disclosing the location.
Yes, but that's already on the public record, so they've already made that assessment and disclosed that information.
They have, Senator, about they have, But, Senator, that is their judgment to make.
And since they've made that judgment, I don't understand why it would be a problem for you to confirm that it's New South Wales.
Senator, I can only repeat my earlier evidence that I'm not in a position to confirm where the 6 individuals that I referenced in my earlier answer are located.
Because there was also a report in The Age yesterday that suggested that they were in Victoria. Is that report accurate?
Senator, that's another way of asking me the same question, which I've indicated I can't answer.
Indeed, it is. Can you at least tell me whether they are located in one state or territory or over multiple states or territories?
Senator, again, I think that it is most sensible that those questions go to law enforcement agencies who are in a position to make an assessment about the location and the risk sensitivity associated with that knowledge.
I'm now not even asking which state or territory, but just whether it's one or multiple. And there are important questions which flow on from that, which have nothing to do with locating people, which I accept your reluctance to do that. Ms Smythe indicated in her answer that she's had one conversation with one state counterpart. That suggests to me that it's in one state. Am I making a wrong assumption here?
Senator, I really have nothing to add to my previous answer.
Right, so
As helpful as she can be on this.
thank you. Nonetheless, I'm still determined, Chair, to try and get some more clarity, because whether we're coordinating one state or multiple states, and therefore multiple agencies, is relevant to understanding Home Affairs' role in this process.
You're being very creative in how you ask
Thank you,
the
Chair.
question.
Grateful for that feedback. So, Ms Foster, what can you help me with? How about we start that way? What can you help me with about the way Home Affairs is coordinated with any counterparts on this issue?
So, Senator, Mr Hanson can take you through the process that we undertake when persons of interest return to Australia.
Thank you. At the moment, I'm interested in just coordination with state counterparts, that aspect of it, please.
I think, Senator, it goes to that very point. So in our corporate plan, target 13 is 100% of known persons of counter-terrorism interest offshore or foreign fighters seeking to return or travel to Australia are assessed, and appropriate mechanisms are developed to manage the risk associated with their return. How we do that is at the Commonwealth level, we have collaboration arrangements, which ultimately at the most senior level is the Joint Counter-Terrorism Board I referenced earlier. This is how we work at the Commonwealth level, and then we have a number of mechanisms to collaborate with state and territory governments, and we talk about how to manage risk in those forums from a joint perspective.
Sure, but I'm not interested in just in a hypothetical or theoretical scenario. I'm interested in what has happened in this instance specifically. So take me through the coordination. I accept you don't want to identify the state government or state governments, but tell me what the coordination has been with state governments that Home Affairs has led.
So in this instance, Senator, it's not a government endorsed repatriation, it is the return of individuals. So the operational collaboration is best answered by operational agencies. Ms Smythe said she's spoken to one of the agencies involved, but we didn't take a formal coordination function in relation to these individuals. That's an operational action.
Just because it's not a repatriation doesn't mean we don't need coordination. These are people who left our country to join a terrorist organisation.
So we
who are returning.
We have a coordination arrangement in the sense that we have the mechanisms in place, and we have those mechanisms have been enacted where operational agencies have been able to coordinate their activity.
Okay. So 2 women and 4 children entered Australia on the 26th of September. How did they get here?
Senator, my understanding is that that was personally arranged travel, which we had no role in facilitating.
Yes, but did they fly? Did they... What can you tell me about their means of conveyance to Australia?
Senator, I'm hesitating about whether or not there's an issue of privacy. Had the government arranged that travel, then absolutely that would be something that it would be appropriate for us to talk about. But whether or not revealing the details of individual Australians' travel is appropriate, I'm not sure. I'd like to take some advice.
Well, I mean, again, there are important questions which flow from this. It's been reported that they flew into Australia and that they departed from Lebanon. Can you tell me if that's accurate?
I think the comment I made in relation to their flights would apply to that question also, Senator.
Okay, can you tell me if they were met on arrival in Australia, regardless of where they arrived?
So, Senator, that would be a question for the operational agencies who are responsible for any ongoing activity or management of a returning cohort of this nature.
So you don't know?
I'm saying that question would be best directed to the operational agencies who are responsible for that
And we will
action.
have plenty of questions for them, but just because they are primarily responsible doesn't mean you don't know and doesn't mean you are not required to answer. So can you tell me, to your knowledge, were they met on arrival by any agency?
So, Senator, the reason I'm deferring to the security agencies is because the action they take in response to groups like this could have security implications or sensitivities that I'm not in a position to judge. They will be able to know whether or not that's information they're comfortable to share publicly.
I think the Chair wants to rotate the call.
I do.
Has a temporary exclusion order been sought for any of this cohort?
No, Senator.
Why not?
The advice from operational agencies is that a temporary exclusion order was not required, and our judgment about the legal threshold for which the temporary exclusion order would apply was not met. And I think it's important to outline that temporary exclusion orders are about the managed return of individuals and associated conditions, and we can say that these individuals, we were aware since early June about the individuals. We are aware that the risk is being managed and that there was appropriate arrangements on arrival.
Did the Minister seek advice about whether a temporary exclusion order could be applied for?
I'll take the specific on notice. We have had discussions with the Minister's office, but I'll take the specific on notice.
When you say that advice was provided from the operational agencies that it was not necessary, is that because it is not deemed that these people represent a security risk?
No, Senator, I didn't say that. I said
No,
that
I know, that's why I'm asking.
The management of risk was undertaken and that arrangements were put in place.
Right. Has a control order been sought for any of this cohort?
I think that's a matter for the AFP to give you the answer about a control order.
Have you provided any advice to the Minister about seeking a control order?
No, Senator.
Why not?
That's for the AFP.
Senator, that's the responsibility of the Australian Federal Police to make an application to the court for a control order.
Yes, but the Minister hasn't sought any advice from you about whether a control order could be sought?
Not from me, Minister.
No, thank you.
Senator.
Secretary, you said earlier that it was in June that the department first became aware that individuals are seeking to return to Australia. How did you become aware?
Senator, I'm hesitating because I'm trying to recall, not because I'm wondering whether to answer. I think I'll probably have to talk to the team and find out how that information came to me.
Is anyone at the table able to assist?
We can say that one agency, the Commonwealth, was notified.
Senator, I'm aware an agency in the Commonwealth was made aware that the women and children were seeking to return to Australia.
Was the department or the Minister made aware by the organisation Save the Children that these people wish to return to Australia?
I'm not aware of conversations the Minister has had.
Okay, well, I asked for the department and the minister. So the department in the first instance, has the department met with Save the Children about these returnees?
No, I have not met with Save the Children.
Well, it's not just a question to you, Ms Smythe, it's the whole department. Has anyone from the department met with Save the Children in relation to these returnees?
We are not aware of anyone in the department meeting with Save the Children in relation to these 6 individuals.
So, Senator, I was present in one meeting that the Minister had with Save the Children earlier this year, long before we had any knowledge of the potential return of these 6.
So prior to June?
Yes.
And was anyone else from the department in this meeting, Ms Foster, or just you?
I was the only departmental officer present, I believe.
So it was you, the minister, and the minister's staff in this meeting?
That's my recollection.
Did it occur at his Parliament House office?
It did.
On what date?
I don't have the exact date, Senator. It was in the early part of the year.
Okay. At any point in this meeting, Ms Foster, were you asked to leave the meeting?
No, Senator.
Did the minister meet with Save the Children without you as part of this meeting?
Not as part of that meeting, Senator.
Did you leave the
no.
meeting earlier, and did it continue between the minister and Save the Children at any point?
No, Senator.
Why are you hesitating in your answer?
Because I'm just trying to this was many, many months ago.
Sure.
And I'm wanting to make sure that I'm casting my memory back. But to the best of my recollection, I was in the meeting the entire time.
So the minister didn't say, Ms Foster, could you just step out a moment? I've got another matter I want to discuss with Save the Children.
No, Senator.
You didn't step out to take a phone call.
No, Senator.
Okay, thank you.
Senator, can I interrupt now to rotate the call and
You
I'll come
can.
back to you after lunch?
Yes, you can.